It is Thursday, June 11th, 2026. Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. I am Chief Meteorologist Sam Argier. This is our weather show streaming exclusively on fox5vegas.com and Fox 5 Vegas Plus, our digital channel. Great to have you along today. We're going to be diving into a lot this afternoon. Of course, it's June. We've got a lot of heat to talk about. You might have noticed some haze outside as well. We'll explain where that is coming from. Plus, it's officially El Nino. We'll let you know what that means for our weather here in southern Nevada as we head through the summer months and especially the winter season when El Nino generally has a little bit more of an impact for us. So started out with a little tour around the Las Vegas Valley on some of our live cams. Here's our welcome to fabulous Las Vegas sign camera. A lot of people still getting their picture out there despite triple-digit heat today. Top of the Strat cam, you can see a little bit of haze out there. It's actually coming from some fires burning down in Baja, Mexico, sending a little smoke our way. Downtown Summerlin camera, well, they just changed the view. That is looking toward Allegiant Stadium there. And then we'll go to our Black Mountain camera, a little bit of haze there. Our Fox 5 Sky Cam, this is looking over Henderson with some blue sky and some haze. And the Westgate camera as well, always a great vantage point of the sphere. So let's dive on in and talk about what we're looking at in terms of weather. And I've got to tell you, we've got a lot of heat heading our way. We have issued a couple first alert weather days for next week because of that heat. So let's dive in and take a look at the time lapse. Now, I was mentioning some of that haze around the valley. It was a little hard to see even the strip in downtown Las Vegas at times from the top of our Black Mountain camera earlier today. Vantage point is some of this is smoke coming in from fires burning down over Baja, Mexico. So just south of San Diego, you can see that kind of bright orange and yellow. That's indicating where the smoke plume is originating from. So I did look up some information. 3 fires burning over Baja right now, around 500 acres burning. So these are more brush fires, but certainly lofting some smoke up into the atmosphere. And with the wind now shifting more out of the south, as we head toward the weekend, we are catching some of that haze moving on through. So we'll see the haze at times across our area as we do go into the upcoming weekend. Now you're seeing the haze. What does it look like in terms of air quality around the Las Vegas Valley? The colors of yellow, that is moderate air quality around the Las Vegas Valley for most neighborhoods. So we're not in that orange or red, meaning unhealthy or unhealthy for sensitive groups, but you are definitely noticing some of that haze out and about for today. Now let's show you the last 30 days. I really like this graphic. I don't show it on the air on Fox 5 just because there's a lot of numbers on there. There's a lot going on, but it gives you some really good perspective on kind of where we've been the last 30 days. And we'll look ahead, of course, to where we're going, and where we're going is hotter than average. So looking at this graphic, the red line you see there, that's the average high temperature this time of year, which by the way is 98 degrees now as we head into mid-June. Overnight low temperatures, average is in the 70s. So we've been kind of oscillating up and down above and below average. Now, so far this June, we started off pretty hot this June. You can see from June 1st on to about June 6th, temperatures in the triple digits. We saw a little bit of a dip earlier in the week, but now the temperatures are flying. We hit 106 degrees on Wednesday. That's the hottest day so far this year. And those temperatures will continue to climb through the weekend and into early next week. Now, looking at the next 10 days, you can see Tuesday and Wednesday really sticking out like a sore thumb. Our first 110-degree days of the year in the forecast. So we did issue the first alert for that. But later next week, we're talking still a week from now, we are looking at a little bit cooler air heading into Father's Day weekend. That will be the weekend of Saturday, June 20th and Sunday, June 21st. So some of the hottest of the weather coming this weekend and through the middle part of next week. Let's show you satellite and radar. We've got some haze, but not much in the way of cloud cover, at least today. That does change, though, heading into Friday and Saturday. If we look down to our south, you can see actually a little bit of spin. That's the remnant moisture from former tropical storm Boris. Brought some heavy rain over Mexico. That is going to send us some more cloud cover as we head into Friday. And we'll have a very slight shower chance on Saturday around southern Nevada. Now, the best chances will be up over our mountains, but we will keep a close eye on that as we go into the weekend, especially Saturday. So looking at the first alert calendar, always laying out the next 2 weeks, we highlight the days with the most impactful weather. We did put a couple first alert weather days on there for next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. That's June 16th and 17th, the 2 hottest days of the stretch. Before that, though, Saturday, we do have that slight chance for a shower. Again, very low-end rain chance here. We're not talking anything significant rain-wise. Here is the 7-day, and we'll show you where we're looking in terms of temperatures up toward 110. But as far as your Friday goes, I really think you'll notice some more clouds and some more heat. Now, keep in mind, the hottest day so far this year was 106 yesterday. We're going to be above that at 108. And I've got to tell you, those temperatures are going to escalate pretty quickly on Friday. 84 at 7 a.m. as you get out the door, 102 by noon. And then we are pushing up toward that 108 mark tomorrow afternoon on Friday. So it's going to be a hot day Friday. Slight shower chance on Saturday at 107. Now, here's the cloud cover moving in for Friday. You can see the clouds increasing. And then we'll head into Saturday. You'll notice a few specks of green popping up in the afternoon. Nothing widespread, but can't rule out a couple very isolated showers around southern Nevada, favoring the higher elevations, favoring our local mountains on Saturday. So again, not a high-end rain chance here. Most of the precipitation that's coming in from the south will stay over Arizona and New Mexico, but it warrants just a slight chance on Saturday. Sunday's at 107, another hot day, and of course the Golden Knights back at T-Mobile Arena Sunday night. It will be Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, and this by far will be the hottest game of the series we've seen. 105 at 3 o'clock, up to 106 just before puck drop. A fair amount of sunshine and not much heat relief. Will be a little breezy at times with wind 15 to 25, but overall, lots of heat heading our way as we go into Sunday. And then the heat just doesn't let up early next week. The hottest days coming in Tuesday and Wednesday. I did look up the record highs. They're around 115, so not expecting daily record highs Tuesday or Wednesday. But certainly that heat risk will be elevated for us around our area. When we talk about heat risk, the National Weather Service actually has a product called Heat Risk. And this assesses not only how hot those afternoons will be, but how much heat relief are we getting overnight? And we're not getting a whole lot going through the weekend and early next week. We're going to be in the mid to low 80s for overnight lows. So this is looking at the heat risk for today. We're in the orange, which is moderate. So for those that are sensitive to the heat, could certainly see some impacts from the temperatures outside. But look what happens into Friday. Notice that red starting to pop up around the Las Vegas Valley. Saturday, yeah, we start to see even some of those colors of magenta popping up. That is extreme heat risk. So that means rare or long duration extreme heat with no overnight relief. So anyone without cooling, hydration, as well as health issues could certainly feel the impacts of that heat. So the county is opening up cooling centers going forward this weekend and into early next week in preparation for this heat. So we talk about it all the time, especially this time of year, but all the things we want to remind you of course, hydration is key, sun protection is key, finding that shade or AC in the peak of the heat during the afternoon and early evening, always key, because the heat risk, it's just going to stay with us Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday. So again, lots of heat coming our way as we go forward into the weekend and into next week. So that is our main weather story here. Lots of heat. Again, a very slight shower chance on Saturday, mainly up over the mountains, but temperatures will be the big story going forward into early next week. Another big weather story, you might have seen some headlines on your social media or maybe any of the news websites you go to about a super El Nino coming our way. Now, the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, just issued that it's an El Nino now, meaning we've got warmer than average water near the equator. There's sea surface temperatures down near the equator in the equatorial Pacific. What that means? Well, let's dive into that with Brian Abel. He did a story on the start of El Nino, which NOAA just declared today. And right after the story, we're going to dive into some more detail about what that means for our weather locally going forward here in southern Nevada. Here's Brian.
El Nino is here, says NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and it's expected to intensify into Super El Nino.
There's a 98% chance of El Nino conditions occurring later this season, and an 80% chance that this El Nino will be moderate to strong.
NOAA's new report forecasts the periodic tropical Pacific weather pattern to be one of the largest El Nino events in the historical record, going back to 1950. The global phenomenon has multi-season ramifications across continents, tilting the odds in favor of certain weather and climate extremes, heat waves, droughts, flooding, and more. This as severe weather once again threatens parts of the U.S., including areas just pummeled by hurricane-force winds and tornadoes, leaving little time for some people to catch their breath.
When you get these tornado warnings, they're not jokes.
It'll come in multiple rounds Thursday. First, the Midwest, then stretching further south into the plains. Some of the storms could become supercells with the potential for EF3 or stronger tornadoes. Damaging wind gusts and flash flooding are also a concern in some areas where rainfall rates could reach 2 inches an hour at times. The systems in the central U.S. expected to largely end late Thursday night, with some storms possibly still active into Friday morning as they push toward the Appalachians. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
All right, Brian, so let's dive into El Nino and what it means for us. So El Nino, as Brian mentioned in that story, it's looking at the sea surface temperatures near the equator in the Pacific Ocean. So we're talking way down off the coast of South America. You see those bright shades of orange? That is the above average sea surface temperatures there. Now, even though that is a couple thousand miles away from us, that does have an impact on the weather patterns across the mid-latitudes where we're at here in the continental United States. For us here in the Southwest and Southern Nevada, generally favors a wetter and warmer than average winter in Southern Nevada. So El Nino years doesn't mean it's a guarantee that we're going to see a tremendous amount of rain. Just El Nino simply means the deck is stacked in our favor for that. So a little more pronounced effect with El Nino when it comes to the winter weather we see during our rainy season. And by the way, our rainy season is really the winter months, December, January, and February. Some of the wettest weather we see all year in Las Vegas, with February being the wettest month on average for us in Las Vegas. But now, does this have any impacts on the summer season?
El Nino is here, says no.
Let's go back to that. We already heard from Brian. I'm going to take you to the web PC. Now, this is looking at the summer outlook for June, July, and August. So generally, the more pronounced effects with El Nino occur during the wintertime, but during the summer, with more moisture coming in from the south, favoring a little bit of above average rainfall heading through June, July, and August for Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. So this is from the Climate Prediction Center. Now here we are in Southern Nevada. We are not in the blob of green, but that being said, this subtropical moisture that comes in, we're still close to it. So whenever there's more activity in Arizona, that does tend to bode well for us to at least see a little more action in the rain department. Again, over the next couple weeks, not seeing anything significant rain-wise. Typically, I always say the monsoon moisture generally starts to pick up as we get kind of around the 4th of July. That's typically late June, early July is when we get kind of our first taste of it. We're seeing a little minor taste of it again Saturday with some increasing clouds and that slight shower chance, but we're still kind of waiting on when we'll see some more significant precipitation from the monsoon. So right now, still mainly dry. Heat is the big story, but we'll be watching any thunderstorms that start to develop as we go through the monsoon season. And of course, when winter gets here, it'd be nice to get some good storms on in here to bring some more rainfall. And of course, that snowpack up in the Rocky Mountains where it counts. Now, where we are seeing some severe weather this Thursday afternoon up in the Midwest, around areas of Illinois, Wisconsin, seeing some good thunderstorms this afternoon. That's the bullseye. You can kind of see that red bullseye over the Chicago area. That's a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms. That's a level 4 out of 5. So that means we could see damaging wind, flooding, and tornadoes all possible with the severe weather around the Midwest on this Thursday afternoon. Now, the risk not quite as high on Friday, mainly a slight risk, meaning a level 2 out of 5 for areas of the Atlantic seaboard around Washington, D.C., up toward New York. So we'll watch for that on Friday. And then Saturday, mainly the Midwest again, around areas of Kansas. You can see that line of thunderstorms kind of marching towards St. Louis on Saturday we'll keep an eye on. So as far as the severe weather outlook, those are the parts of the country looking at the most in the way of severe weather across our area. So right here in Las Vegas, again, it's all about that heat. We've got temperatures running well above average, and we'll put the 7-day forecast up behind me one more time so you can take another look at where we're going, because the triple digits are here and they're here to stay for a little while for us. So popping that 7-day in view behind me. Heat's just not letting up. 108 Friday, 107 this weekend, and then the hottest of the weather coming in Tuesday and Wednesday at 110 degrees. So that'll do it for this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. Again, I'm Chief Meteorologist Sam Argier. You can always catch our digital weather show, First Alert Weather Extra, on fox5vegas.com. That's our website. Just go to the First Alert Weather section. You'll see the area where we have these posted, and also on Fox 5 Vegas Plus. That's our digital channel streaming on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and of course Apple TV as well. So hope to give you some extra information, go into a little more detail about the weather we're experiencing, not only here in Southern Nevada, but around the country as well. That'll do it for this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. I'll see you next time right here.